Today we're going to be starting on the restore of the SYLVANIA 17P103S. This is 17-inch portable set, handle missing, knobs missing, metal cabinet, and this set uses a unique setup for the knobs. You can see they have extensions on them. You can see what's left of that one there. They go all the way down to the chassis where the controls are. Channel selector knob or shaft is actually pretty close to the top. You can see the sleeves are all, there's what's left of that one. Really dirty. You can see the top of the circuit board. I don't know what we're going to get into on this one. Hopefully we can bring it back to life. We'll have the CR70 hooked up to the picture tube. First thing I always check. Don't want to waste my time trying to restore a chassis if the picture tube's bad. So let's see what we got. I do see a little glow there. Yeah, see that red glow right there. So that's good. No heater cathode shorts, no G1 shorts, or is there? Well, that's not good. Heater cathode shorts is good. G1 shorts are same bad. Cutoff is setting good. And we've got emission, so may have a okay tube, may have a bad tube. Really can't tell now until we hook it up to a chassis, a working chassis. We'll pull this chassis out and see what we've got to work with. Got a metal channel selector knob. Had a little trouble getting it off, but it finally came off. It just seized on the shaft of the tuner there pretty good. And these two knobs just stay in the cabinet. You just raise them up, I guess, when you pull the cabinet or the chassis out. So pull the top of this case off. That's probably the safest way, and I'll look down in there and see what's going on with the chassis then. I think now we'll see if we can pull the chassis loose. I think it will come out. Well, I'm not sure, but I'm going to do some more investigating here, and then I'll show you when I get the chassis pulled out. There's a picture tube, a 17BW P4. Alright, I've got the chassis loose. Look at this yoke. It's really bad shape there on the back. Plastic's all disintegrated. Doesn't mean the yoke's bad, not at all, but have to redo that. Make a new back for the yoke, and the centering rings mounted back like they should be. This does have just a clamp right here that holds this whole thing on. There it is. We'll take the centering rings off next. Centering ring holder. And that clamp also goes around that. So we'll have to come up with something there. That should allow the yoke to come off now. Get that cover out of the way. Alright. I think if we unhook the anode, You can pull that chassis out and set the rest of this aside. This CRT is held in with 4 screws on the very bottom of the set attached to this bracket around here. Alright, tube's out, and there's some of those extensions that go on the controls, what's left of them. Lots of other debris laying down in here. This is that implosion shield. Doesn't look too bad now that I took the tube out. I think the tube was dirty too, so made it look worse than what it was. I have the test tube, test CRT hooked up. And as you can see, I'm getting some high voltage and some raster and picture. If I turn the sound up, do have some sound, so yeah, that's encouraging. According to the high voltage meter, I have about 8,000 volts. 13 to 15, 14 is about average. So check the horizontal output tube, the damper tube, the oscillator tube, and the rectifier tube. They all check good. Those rectifiers, sometimes they'll check okay and still won't work correctly, so I think I'm going to pop a new 1B3 in there just to see if there's any difference. To get to this point, I did find a bad coupling cap right here, and then the main section of this filter cap was open. Just got those bridged in, laying there on the bench. That got my B plus up to around 250, which is close to where it should be. I'll probably just leave them like that for now. Investigate this high voltage issue, see if I can get it up where it should be. But it's almost alive. We've got something going on there, so making progress.
Diabetes and hypertension, hyperlipidemia.
Just a bit more progress.
Those events are there regardless.
Changed several of the paper caps underneath the chassis and the deflection circuit, and that did help my deflection somewhat. Turn the sound down. You can see I've got a horizontal problem there, folding over in the middle. The high voltage is still low, so I think the next thing I'm going to try is this multi-section electrolytic. This one here, I've only bridged one section, the main section, so it has 2 more sections, I think. Yeah, has 3 more sections. So I'm going to go after that critter and see if that'll make any improvements. Well, success. Found the problem causing the fold over in the middle and the high voltage going up and down as you vary the AGC control. And here's the culprit. Just a horizontal phase control diode. Initially the solder connections were bad on it, and I resoldered it, and the set worked pretty good for about 5 minutes, and then back to the fold over. So I've changed it, put a new one in, and didn't have one like this, so I just took 2 silicon rectifiers, and they work fine, as you can see. We have a good stable picture. So So we'll let it play for a while just to make sure that everything's still okay. And I wanted to show you how I mounted the filter caps. There's actually 1, 2, 3, 4 electrolytic capacitors. C1 is just the voltage doubler. C2 is a 4-section. And the way I was able to substitute it was just individual caps. I had to turn this one down because of the bottom of the chassis slides in the case, so that's why it's turned down. These two I was able to mount on the terminal strip. So that worked out good. And then C3 is a 3-section, and it's up on the signal board. Here's the old one. It was just mounted here on the circuit board like that. So that was a pretty simple matter. It's a 3-section. I just removed it and put modern smaller replacements in, mounted them upright so they look good. Actually, the 4th electrolytic is C4. It's a 2 mic 50 volt off of pin 2 of the ratio detector tube. Haven't changed that yet. It's probably fine, but I may go ahead and put one of them in. That's this cap right here. And here's a boneyard with all the parts that I replaced in this set. There were 19 paper caps, the 2 selenium rectifiers, and there was 9 different electrolytics in those 3 cans there. Of all the sets I've restored, I think this one had the most filter caps and paper caps of any I've ever done. There's 28 total capacitors that I've changed. One of the last things I'll do is this circuit board here on top. You can see it gets all of the dirt and dust because it's mounted horizontally here in the top of the set. So I'm going to attempt to clean all of this off. I'll have to be really careful around all the coils, just make sure I don't break anything. But I like to get that cleaned off, make it look a little better. Used a Q-tip and got in a lot of the crevices and close areas. So looks much better. I think that'll be okay. Got the Yoke wires and CRT socket wires then cleaned up. Looks much better. And even wiped the picture tube off one more time, so it should be ready. Anode lead. It cleaned up pretty well. Well, here's what I've come up with for the yoke cover. This will be the main cover that goes around the yoke. And here's the centering magnets. See, they're moving freely. And this is just a piece of plastic pipe. And it's actually in a cone shape. It's smaller on this end, larger on this end. That way when you push it down in there, it tightens up the 2 centering rings and keeps them good and tight. And then, because this pipe is larger than the CRT neck, see how much larger it is. And I did have to trim the cover right here. This center part, oh well, I need a sleeve of some sort that will take up the space there. And this is just a paper sleeve off of an old paper capacitor. Just cut it about half in two, melted the insides out with a heat gun, and look at that. Fits tight. Still some movement, but I can hot glue that, get it centered really well, and then hot glue it. And I think that's going to work really good. Show you what it looks like. And just a dab of hot glue here and here, and we'll put the cover back on, and it's finished. Well, that's going to do it for part 1 of the SYLVANIA TV Restore. Check back for part 2 when we work on the cabinet, get the set put back together, and show you the finished TV after the restoration. Thanks for watching.
We hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button, and we'd love it if you would subscribe to our channel. Thanks.